I found the Tony Hancock Appreciation Society through a wonderful lady called Phyllis Rounce, who was Tony Hancock's very first agent. Tony gave her a very hard time, but she still loves the guy. She showed me a cutting from the Tony Hancock Appreciation Society journal, which is called Railway Cuttings. And she said, look, there's a mention of your name in here. This is about 2 years ago. And I said, oh yes, and I read it. It was a cutting to do with Tony's death in Australia and the fact that he died in a terrible old basement. So I thought I'd got to put the record straight. So what I did was I wrote a letter to Nigel, who was the editor of the Tony Hancock magazine, putting him straight that Tony didn't die in this hovel, that he in fact died in my home, our home. We shared a house in quite a salubrious suburb in Sydney, Australia. And this corrected an article by a journalist called Donald Zeck, who used to write, as far as I remember, for the Mirror, and he went for the sensational side of it, understandably, but I wanted to put the record straight, and that resulted in being invited to their annual get-together, which the best analogy for the get-together they have is a kind of Hancockian Burns night. And I think they're all lovely. Well, I'm convinced they're all crazy, because a lot of them are too young to remember Tony Hancock as a young man or in his heyday, and one has to admire them for perpetuating his memory.
As someone who's worked with Tony, and you've obviously known him personally, what would you say is your own personal fondest memory?
The fondest memory is of his best programs. I think that's the way Tony would like to be remembered, as a superb entertainer, specifically as a man who had new timing. And that's something you can't teach anybody. I don't think he ever had any lessons or anything, but he was a superb, his timing was impeccable. And I like to remember him for the laughs he gave me for, there's about 20 or so titles I could mention, and every one of them is a gem. Okay. I don't think he'd like to be remembered for the way he was in Australia, which was a shadow of himself.
Okay. Is there anybody that you feel compares in any way in modern times to, close to his...
modern times?
Currently today?
No, the closest I think, and this is also a Galton Simpson series, was the Steptoes. I mean, the one with the two of them doing the ballroom dancing. I saw that not long ago. I found it as fresh and as funny as anything. If you move on to present popular comedians, I don't think there's anybody within light years of the Galton Simpson era. That was the peak, to my mind, that's just because I'm an old man, of British comedy. What was he like?
Did he sort of show signs of being very depressed?
No,
was he hard to work with, really?
No, he was. He wasn't hard to work with. He and I had made an agreement before we ever went to Australia. If we had any differences of opinion, that we would not parade them in front of the crew, and we both stuck by that. We both agreed to disagree in private, but he was a heavy drinker. I mean, he was overdosed with pills to wake him up, pills to put him to sleep, and he just had his cocktail of drugs in his stomach, and he couldn't work properly. Tragedy of the first order. No, I can't quite honestly think of 3 words to sum up a genius. There's no way you can do it in 3 words. I'll think about it though. See you next year, same time, same place. Ask me the same question, I'll have an answer for you.